Are we responsible for a lack of innovation? Of course, by we, I mean us guitarists. We know what we like, we're picky, and we're very opinionated, and we're very competitive. And that's us. Welcome to the club. Recently, while reading a book on the history of guitars and guitar amps, I came to a realization, and that is, I think guitarists might be responsible for a lack of innovation in the guitar world. What I mean by this is there is a core set of things that will always be present and that always has been present in our little world of gear with guitars, amps, pedals, and so on and so forth. Good cleans will always be referred to as Fender cleans. A good crunch tone will always be referred to as a plexi crunch or something of that nature. A good fuzz pedal will always be referred to and measured against an Electro-Harmonix Big Muff. Spanky, country-like, twangy guitar tones will always be associated with Fender Tele tones. If I were to mention a metal amp, chances are you would mention a Peavey 5150 Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier or something damn close. My point is this: we like what we like, and most of the things that we do like are either old, or they've been out for 20 years. Recently, there has been huge technological advances in the digital world, namely the fractal axe effects and the Kemper profiling amp. But what do these things have in common with the old stuff that we normally like? They allow you to achieve those old tones easier. In the amplifier world, basing designs and sounds off of the same thing is very prevalent and has become its own thing unto itself. If you were to try an amp out that you were not familiar with, what's the first thing that you would ask?
Sounds cool. What's it based on?
And we say that because we need some sort of familiarity. We don't like new things. We don't like things to sound unfamiliar, and we like a security blanket. And I think because of this, companies will just give us and repackage what we want. For example, in the amplifier community, the classic amplifier of choice since the 60s has been the Marshall amplifier. How many copies, visually and sonically, can you think of right now that are based on Marshall amps? Quite a bit. And in some cases, it doesn't even matter if the product was any good to begin with. For example, in 1993, I bought a Russian-made Electro-Harmonix Big Muff Pi, and that thing was a piece of shit. The switch had a delay. When switching, everything was plastic. It broke. After 2 months, it sounded good. It didn't work worth a crap. And what happened 10 years later after everyone started copying that specific design? The originals are worth a poop load of money. How many repackaged based on Tube Screamer overdrive circuits can you think of right now off the top of your head? Probably quite a bit. How many guitars have been based on a Fender Strat or a Gibson Les Paul, the standard for electric guitars that came out in the 50s? You seeing a pattern here? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying original designs and concepts aren't out there, because they are. They're very, very prevalent if you look hard enough. But the ones that actually become successful and money-making aren't typically new. You really have to ease guitarists into it. For example, take the Evertune Bridge. Now, while it might seem like it's suddenly popular now, the inventors and the Evertune team traveled for years on conventions and guitar shows just to try to sell us on the idea that it actually does work, and just to get people to even try it. To give you another really good example, I think, behind me is a Peavey 5150 and a Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier, both which have been rumored to be based on a Soldano SLO 100, which is based on a modified Marshall Plexi. The very first Marshall amp was based on a Fender Bassman and was essentially a Fender Bassman. The Fender Bassman was basically the original RCA tube amplifier circuit in the RCA manual. It's all the same thing. Okay, obviously they're not the same thing. There are huge sonic differences. I know that. And I'm not saying anyone is, oh, I'm going to copy it and make a ton of money in copying their designs, although there are some companies out there. But I'm just saying, I think we're kind of in a stalemate and have been in a stalemate for a very long time as far as our gear wants and needs. And I think it might be time to maybe branch out a little bit. What do you think? Do you think there's too much of the same thing? Or am I totally off and there is just a load of variety in all aspects of the guitar gear world? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I'm Fluff, and I thank you for watching.